Hello, I'm Lauren Huberman.
And I'm Christina McLean. Welcome to All Access. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for another episode of All Access. This month, we have the opportunity to feature our Home Modification program at MOPD.
Yes, and we are very excited to celebrate with the HomeMod program because it is the 25th anniversary of HomeMod, and they have just completed their 2000th Home Modification project. In addition, as you probably know, July is the anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act, and on July 26th, the ADA turns 35 years. So it was 35 years ago that the ADA was signed into law, which also means that it's the 35th anniversary of the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities.
Yeah, so we have a lot to celebrate this month. Well, Yazmeen and Mark, thank you for joining us today at All Access. I'd love to get started and have you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your roles at MOPD and how long you've been here.
Sure. My name is Mark Nobriga. I'm our program director for our HomeMod program. I have been with the city and HomeMod for roughly 25 years now. It started off as a very small program, and here we are today.
Woohoo! Hi, I'm Yazmeen Ramirez, and I've been with HomeMod for almost 3 years, and I'm a disability specialist too.
Great. And what is HomeMod? Can you tell us a little bit about the program?
Sure. HomeMod is exactly what it sounds like. It's a program that modifies homes for people with disabilities. So what that means is that we are trying to create an accessible environment for the people who are clients. That can come in one of many forms. The most popular things we do are the things you see the most. It's the ingress and egress is how we get into and out of that home. That has to be planned, obviously. Chicago is a place with many buildings, and many of those buildings aren't level with the sidewalk. And so we have this giant puzzle we have to solve every time we go out to these clients' homes. And that a lot of the time is first and foremost trying to get into and out of the home. It's one of our priorities with HomeMod. It's what we always look at first. Thereafter, of course, we can look at many different areas in the home based specifically on the individual's disability, the characteristics of the home, and what that final result looks like after having those many meetings with the client, having those discussions about what the building can physically take. That all gets put together. In a very short description of what the program does, we just get to work and we just do the construction and we make that accessibility happen. There, of course, are many, many different steps to this program that we can get into later probably, but that's really in a nutshell what we do.
Great. What does ingress and egress mean?
It's a fancy word architects use for getting into and out of a home.
Aha. Yazmeen, did you know what those words meant?
Yes.
Great.
I hope so.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So how to get in is ingress. Egress is how to get out.
Correct.
Great.
We have a big anniversary this year for the Americans with Disabilities Act and the department, the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities. Mark, how long has HomeMod been around?
The unique story is that HomeMod was actually created maybe a year or two before I started working for MOPD. It was a brainchild of one of the commissioners that was at MOPD, and they really had the idea of how do we create this program, or what do we do to make individuals in the city of Chicago's homes accessible? What does that look like? And how do we put it together? How do we utilize the city's network and all the city departments to make that a reality? There were many ideas thrown around, but it really never lifted off the ground. They had funding, although it was very limited, and I think the decision was made we need to hire somebody full-time to run this program, tell us how to make it all come together and just implement it. And that was the start of me at MOPD. So that was in 2001, and that was many, many years ago. And that was really the start of it. And like I said, we started off as a very small program. It was the first year's funding was $184,000. And that was accumulation of 3 years of funding.
Wow. Yeah. And so we also wanted you here today to talk about what milestone you're celebrating. So like Christina said, July 26th is the 35th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. And also 35th anniversary of our department, MOPD. So what is the milestone that you're celebrating?
We're celebrating our 2000th project. And Mark, you can elaborate a little bit more on that.
Sure. So it's actually twofold. That we are celebrating 35 years of MOPD. We are celebrating 25 years of HomeMod, and at the very same time, we're celebrating our 2000th client, which is a tremendous amount of construction work and helping within the city of Chicago.
Great. Yazmeen, how did you get involved in the program?
So I applied. I'm just kidding. I honestly really enjoy helping people, and I enjoy directly improving the quality of life. So seeing our clients being able to enjoy the community again, go out and go to their doctor's appointments or see their families, it's just embracing, and I love it. And during the interview, Mark did say that I would be out in the field. And I think that was the most exciting part for me, to directly engage myself with the clients.
Mm-hmm. And Yazmeen, you just mentioned it a bit there with allowing the clients to go out into the community. Is that like one of the goals of HomeMod, is to increase independence and ensure that people can get out to work, get out on their own?
Absolutely, yes. Allowing them to live more independently, and that's what we're geared for. We could see it a lot after the completion of the project, seeing the client say, I was able to attend at least 3 of my doctor's appointments, when before HomeMod, they weren't able to attend many. So seeing that difference is wonderful.
Are these projects all over the city? Or do you find that they're in a majority of one area of the city, Mark?
HomeMod, the program, does work citywide. So we are capable of handling projects of any kind across the city of Chicago. Of course, there are neighborhoods that we focus on. There are neighborhoods that require services more often. So we do cater to a lot of those neighborhoods more frequently than we would other neighborhoods. It's really a needs-based program. It's who applies for the program. It's who's really in that desperate need. Like Yazmeen was saying, that some of these individuals can now go to doctor's appointments. Even beyond that, some of these individuals have seen the outdoors because of our program for the first time in decades. Mm-hmm. Just getting outside of the porch or outside of the front door is a goal for our program. And for some of these individuals, that freedom, that ability to take part in the community again, to perhaps enjoy our community center, perhaps doing a Central West Career Center. Mm-hmm. Maybe they want a job. This ramp is the first, or lift, or any means of accessibility could and sometimes is that first step in the rest of their lives. If it's getting a job, if it's attending a baseball game, we sometimes are that first step that they have to take to really get to any of those life events. And that's what makes, I think, HomeMod such an important factor in our city. It's why Yazmeen and the people that work on our projects so proud of what they do, because they're truly helping. It's, I always say it, it's one of those programs that you can smile when you go to work, because you know that whatever you do that day is helping people in need.
Yeah. So in addition to the home modifications in terms of modifying a kitchen or a bathroom, what other kinds of modifications could people benefit from? And, you could give some examples depending on someone's disability, but just thinking about other kinds of things that you might provide inside the home for somebody.
So we can do adjusting the kitchen or living areas for wheelchair access, as well as widening doorways. Some of our clients have bigger wheelchairs, so it's difficult to get through certain hallways or even through their main door. So having that ability to do that has been helpful.
I think it's important to mention also that we are a full service construction program. Where we like to talk about the beautiful lifts and ramps, kitchens, bathrooms we modify for accessibility, we are fully capable of doing all the other dirty stuff. By dirty stuff, I mean, maybe your plumbing isn't right behind the wall. Maybe your electricity isn't up to code. And when we touch these areas, we leave that area much better than when we came into it. Where all the electricity is up to code. We make sure there are set breakers. We make sure that the plumbing is run right. We make sure the plumbing is new. There are instances where some of the buildings we go into, a lot of the buildings we go into, don't have a lot of upkeep. We do have tools that allow us to look through walls a little bit, but we don't always see the damages until the demo comes. The demo comes, if walls come down, all of a sudden we realize the main stack, which is the stack that houses all the dirty gray or black water that goes down into the sewers, that might have been rusted through 35 years ago. Mm-hmm. And the water is really just feeding down there by gravity, and it's bouncing off the interior walls inside the wall cavities. And we open up the wall, we see that. This program is a program that can also fix that and bring it up to code as part of the modifications, so that the client, we, the city, know that this is a project and the dollars we're spending are, long-term going to help this client. We're not going to see problems down the road where the plumbing wasn't fixed with the bathroom, and all of a sudden you got this brand new bathroom that's accessible that doesn't work because the plumbing behind the wall isn't working.
Right.
So we do all the dirty stuff, but we do the nice stuff too. So it's fully inclusive construction program.
Yeah.
What about for before coming to MOPD, I hadn't ever heard of an accessible doorbell. I didn't know what that even would have been. I just think of a doorbell and I think of the ringing or a buzzer at an apartment. So what does that look like? How do you make something accessible if someone needs it and it's something like that?
It always starts off with our assessment. So part of how the program works is you apply. Your application is going to tell us basics. It's going to tell us a little bit about what type of disability you have, where you live, little tiny things about you that gets us going. But of course, we send out teams into the field, and those teams will do a full assessment of the home, a full assessment of the client. We're checking for lead mitigations. We're checking for environmental reviews. We're doing a lot of stuff there. Part of that is we are trying to see what the full picture looks like. And some of those things we might provide are based on that full picture view of everything we see. Somebody may not need a full lift or a ramp. Somebody may just need grab bars. Somebody may just have a porch that it's a little too old and a little too rickety, and they are a person that has limited gait. So when they're going up this railing or they're going up this staircase, the railing might wiggle. Maybe what we do is just tighten up that railing. It could be that simple. It could also be, hey, you need a full lift to get in here because the wheelchairs and stairs don't really mesh together very well. So it could be something simple. It could be something a lot bigger. It's just really based on that full picture we see.
I mean, this sounds like a very attractive program, but I'm assuming not everyone is eligible. Can you tell us a little bit about the eligibility for the program?
Yeah, of course. So we ask our residents of Chicago to provide the application, proof of age, income, home insurance, and proof of disabling condition. By proof of age, we ask for them to provide an ID or anything from a doctor's note that says their ID along with their name, and that can also go along with the disability, a summary from the doctor saying their disability condition and what's preventing them from being able to be independent. For the home insurance, this does not only go for homeowners, but also for those that are renting. So they're more than welcome to get in contact with their landlords or even provide that information from us, and me or one of my colleagues will try to follow up to the best of our ability. We also ask that they fall within our income guidelines based on HUD, so low thresholds to moderate, and then from there, we'll be able to assess their home.
And HUD stands for what?
Housing and Urban Development. So it's one of our parents that provides funding to us, and so we do have multiple funding sources. So we have to take the stringent of each of those funding sources so that we comply with all their grant requirements to us, so that we can provide these modifications to people that qualify, not only from our program but for the funding sources we have.
Do you find that HomeMod is a great way of connecting Chicago residents to the other programs that MOPD has?
Yes. I think with the ability to pass out some of the flyers and information about the Career Center, any other resources we may be having at Central West allows for us to, hey, this is what's happening. But besides that, getting to know the client. So we kind of develop that one-on-one with them, allowing them to express to us while also actively listening, being patient, and saying, hey, this is what we could provide within the next 4 to 6 months. But also, this is what's going on in the community in our area, and we are welcoming you to come by.
That's great.
Yeah, I think with a lot of programs and services that are especially run or funded through the government, there's so many hoops to jump through. So I'm just wondering, what's the timeline from somebody applying to the completion of the work done in somebody's home?
This is one of those legacy questions. And in the beginning, we used to have a massive application. It was large, and it was sometimes, an impediment to getting our program. It was sometimes people would pick up, we called it an application packet, because it was literally, I printed it as a book. And it had directions, and it had a full set, and then there's a second set for landlords to fill out. It was a large thing. And we do require a lot of that information. Over the years, what we had done was to take away some of those barriers, make it easier to apply for that program. We know we're going to have those conversations through the assessments anyway. So we are in the process, and we have for years made the application simpler and smaller and smaller and smaller, to the point where we don't feel like it's that hard to answer anymore. Obviously, every application in the world is going to have accompanying documents. We make that easy. We allow people to email us those. We pick those up from the client's home. They can have them ready during our assessment. We've tried to take away all the barriers to being part of this program.
And you mentioned barriers and how you've kind of made the application process easier. What other barriers are there that you face with the program?
Languages. We also have interpreters who are willing to assist us in the process. I think even having 4 different, multilingual brochures to the best of our ability, and reaching out to those communities in best ways possible.
Yeah, and Yazmeen, you also speak Spanish.
Yes.
So that must be a huge asset as well in the field.
Absolutely. It has been.
Yeah. No, I would imagine. So that's great.
And I'm assuming our winters might be a barrier. Is that still the case?
No, we're still out there.
Yeah?
Rain or shine, we try our best to suit up. Sometimes if it's very cold, obviously we will not go out there. But if we are able to, and we know that the client says, hey, we're waiting for you, we're more than welcome to show up. We'll just remind them, we'll go inside for a little bit, ask them the basic questions that we need, assess the inside of the home as well as the outside, take some pictures, and we'll go on to the next client's home.
So is there currently a wait list for the program?
There is currently a wait list. We make every effort, though, to reach all of our clients. At the very least, you're going to hear from us. You're going to hear what time frame that wait list has. We are going to get back to you. If possible, we're going to pre-send out our inspectors. We're going to send out our assessment team, so that when funding is available or a new calendar year comes in, we're ready to go. We're ready to go with whoever we already have on our books. So it's really a rolling wait list. As people come in, we take people off of it, and we provide those services as soon as we physically can.
So you've mentioned your team. Yazmeen's here with us today, but who else helps with HomeMod?
We do have 2 additional staff, Sam and Jamie, who are currently back at the office taking those calls and making those important decisions and getting back to our clients and keeping the HomeMod train rolling.
And are you guys the ones out there with the hammers and the lifts? How does, doing the construction? How does that work?
I hope not. But no, no, we do have vendors. Our vendors are 2 construction vendors. They specialize in accessible design. They specialize in construction. They've been doing it both for a very long time. They get great reviews. They do awesome work. Some of the projects we get done, when obviously we go out and do the inspections and take those pictures and those before and those afters, they really look beautiful. I mean, not only are they accessible and they're useful and helpful, these are beautiful bathrooms. And these are well-designed, well-thought-out projects for accessibility.
That's so cool. It's such a fabulous program, and there's always so much interest in it. And I think there is, like you've both said, a lot of pride in the program. And then I think in people's homes, the finished product, they seem very happy with. It's really incredible. I'm just curious, was this modeled after another program in another city, or was this kind of the first of its kind? Do you know?
I don't know if it was the first of its kind. Over the years, I do know that it's morphed into one of the largest of its kind. It's unique in the fact that we handle clients of all ages. It's unique in the fact that I believe we're the only modification program that also does repairs. Obviously, the city of Chicago has this idea that we want to be the most accessible city in the nation. You do that by providing accessible modifications. You do it better by keeping those accessible modifications you have provided in the past working. A lot of our clients are limited income. It's part of the program. So they sometimes don't have the means to make those simple repairs on those lifts or something else within their home. And this program steps in. We back up our work that we do. We know we do good work. We know that these lifts are going to last 10 years. The repair program allows them to last 15 to 20. If that were to happen, and we do get these questions from landlords a lot, hey, I have a renter. They're part of your HomeMod program. What's going to happen if they leave? And we tell them that we have this housing locator service. You're welcome to get on that at any point in time and market your property. There are people out there looking for units with accessibility. And if you have one of those, it's a rarity. And that rarity will go quick. And so that's kind of a selling point, because some landlords are anti making those changes or just not anti making the changes. They're just unsure, right? It's something new to them and it's something different. So we use that as a tool to say, hey, it's okay. The changes aren't bad. They actually will help you.
Are those conversations, so if a landlord is approached about making some modifications and they seem hesitant, are those conversations that you all have with the landlord directly, or is that not something that you do?
The conversation typically happens with the client and the landlord. Oftentimes it comes back to us though, because the landlord wants more specifics than the client can give. And so we talk them through the whole process. This is what we propose. It's not being forced on you. This is what we recommend. This is what it's going to look like. This is what it's going to be at the end. One of the landlord's big concerns is you're putting this lift onto my home. Who's going to fix it when it breaks? Am I responsible now fixing, a monetary commitment? Am I now responsible for fixing this lift that you just put on my home for my tenant? And that's where the rest of HomeMod comes in and says, no, you're not, because we have a repair program.
I'm interested in hearing from both of you about any of your favorite projects.
We both do have favorite projects, slightly different. I'm going to ask Yazmeen to go first.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so I think my favorite one was a bathroom in a high rise. And due to being a little bit creative, the vendor and had to think a little bit outside the box. The favorite part for me was that we had to build a slightly elevated, kind of like a ramp, so that the client can be able to use their shower. And providing the pedestal sink as well as the grab bars, the project came out fantastic. I loved it. And it was actually a year and a half that I'd working for HomeMod. And I was like, oh, I love it here. Like, this is for me. So that's one of my favorite projects.
Cool. And it looked really good.
Yes, it looked amazing.
Oh, that's wonderful. And I assume that the client was very pleased.
Yes, she was. And I think the fun part about our program, again, having that direct with them, doing a satisfaction survey at the end of the project, getting their feedback, their feelings, and also the engagement that they had with the workers. It's always a 10 out of 10, and it's great to hear.
Yeah.
I think Yazmeen and I have the same taste, so to speak. It's we like those challenges a little bit. A lot of our projects are cookie cutter. They're always different. But then there's a few that are like, how will you do this? How can this even be done? And one of my favorite projects in Chicago, and I actually have a few, but the one I want to talk about today is in a neighborhood. And not many people even know this about Chicago, but Chicago actually has neighborhoods where the streets were raised beyond where the buildings used to be placed. And so what you have is certain neighborhoods in Chicago where the street is actually almost at the second floor of the building. The building and the lot is still down there in a lower level. And so we have people with disabilities living in a building that actually is where the roads used to be. The roads were raised up and everything around it was raised up, but those buildings are still down there. And so how do you create accessibility for somebody that is in a building that is 12 to 14 feet below grade of the road? One of the creative things we came up with, instead of trying to figure out how to use an elevator to get from the road down to the first floor, what we did is something far more simple. We created a bridge to the second floor. So we have HomeMod projects, which are actually bridge projects, where we've created a physical bridge from the sidewalk into the second floor of the building. The second floor becomes the accessible first floor.
Well, we always try to wrap up our podcast by bringing it back to employment. Would love to just hear about your educational backgrounds, and how it ties into the work that you do at MOPD.
I received my master's at the Professional School of Psychology, but for my bachelor's, I studied in psychology as well. And I think it just led me to wanting to directly help people. And I felt like working with HomeMod would be the best fit. I worked with people with disabling conditions before in a classroom setting, but I think this one brings a lot of new skills, and being next to Mark in this architectural field that he's aware of has allowed me kind of embrace and challenge myself with other creative ideas.
And I come from a background in architecture. I was at the University of Kentucky. I have a degree in architecture. I have a nice long history of construction projects, many of which are in Chicago. And this seemed like just a natural progression of how do I keep my career going in architecture, but also provide and give back to the community. And this is one of those unique jobs that allowed me to do that, which is also why I've worked here so long. It's rewarding.
Yeah.
It's been really fun to have you both on today.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so
It's been
much.
a pleasure. And congratulations on big accomplishments this year.
Yeah, a big anniversary. I hope you celebrate.
Yes. Lunch on Mark.
I love it.
Perfect. Here are some reactions from participants who received home modifications.
I just want to say a huge thank you to the Mayor's Office for people with disabilities for making my bathroom accessible. Taking a simple shower without struggle has been life-changing. The work was incredible, and I'm so grateful for this program. Chicago really walks the talk of accessibility for all. I hope this vital program is always funded to enable more residents to gain independence, just like it did for me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ramirez. I'm making this video as testimonial for the Home Modification program. It really works. It's amazing. 4 years I was falling down the stairs, going up on my behind. And now, thanks to the Home Modification program, I got my life back. Thank you, Janie. Thank you, Yazmeen. Thank you, Home Modification program. But most of all, thank you, City of Chicago.
Thank you for joining us for this month's episode of All Access. Be sure to check us out on social media at MOPD Chicago.
Special thanks to our executive producer, Commissioner Rachel Arfa, the City of Chicago's production team, our sign language interpreters who helped to make our podcast accessible, and our special guest today. See you next time.